Two men, twin sons from different mothers, with a passion for voiceover recording technology and the desire to make recording easy for voice actors everywhere. Together, in one place, George Whittam, the home studio engineer to the stars, a Virginia Tech grad with an unmatched knowledge of all the latest gear and technology in voiceover today. Dan Leonard, the home studio master, a voice actor with over 30 years experience in broadcasting and recording, and a no-holds-barred, myth-busting attitude for teaching you how easy it is. Together, finally, to bring you all the latest technology, the superstars of voiceover today, and leading the discussion on how to make the most of your voiceover business. This is Voiceover Body Shop. And now, live from their super secret multimedia studio in Sherman Oaks, California, here are George Whittam and Dan Leonard.
I'm Dan Leonard.
And I'm George Whittam.
And together this is Voiceover Body Shop, or VOBS. Absolutely. Well, once again, we are live together here in our wonderful high-tech studio in Sherman Oaks, California, broadcasting to all four corners of the world.
Corners?
Four corners.
Who came up with that?
I don't know. It's the way it's been. But
Okay.
But we know we've got people watching in Australia.
Yeah, we do.
And probably in Japan.
They're having their Vegemite sandwiches
For
in
lunch.
Australia right
That's
now.
right, exactly. And we've all over the place. Mostly it's you folks all across the fruited plain and in Canada. You know, is it Canada Day or anything?
No, we missed that.
Okay. Yeah, that was actually back in July.
Yeah.
But we're here to answer your questions and solve your problems with your home voiceover studios and make it sound good. Because we sound good, we want you guys to sound good. By the way, do we sound good tonight?
I think we sound pretty good.
Okay, good.
I'm pretty happy.
Yeah.
What do you guys think? You tell us if we sound good or not.
Right.
You're in the chat room.
Right. So Shelly Evelino is running the chat room tonight. She is in charge. She has the comm. If you have a question for us, a technical question about voiceover technology, feel free to throw it in there. But we got lots of other great stuff tonight. We have a fabulous guest. Rick Wasserman is our guest tonight, and he's this guy is doing it all. You know, Mad Men, all those sorts of things, fun stuff. We're going to talk about his great career, and we're going to have a little fun with him. And
Yeah, because he's a coach.
he's a coach,
So-
so we're going to do a little mini class.
We are
Put it
forcing
over here.
him.
Put it over here.
Forcing
mini
him to do
class.
Do that again, because I missed how cool that was.
Mini
Perfect.
class.
Beautiful. Nicely done.
On how we're and how to do that.
We
found
put
a
these
script.
cameras up here. I got to
I
use them
got
at
them on.
some point.
You have to go back to the shot again.
Which one is that?
That's
Two?
that's whatever shot
Camera
that
one.
is. That's
Lean in.
it's that shot there.
You got to lean in on that
All
one.
right.
There you go.
When we get the tally lights on in here, that's really going to be something.
Oh, yeah. Any day now.
You know, we can
Tally lights.
You know, I can look into this camera
kidding
and ready to take and ready to get
Sure.
the camera here, and then I can turn and then you just
Yeah.
take it.
No problem.
Right. Thank you for all the help. Okay. Why don't we get going here? Because we have to start off with the news, which is
do.
brought to us by
That's right. Edge? No, not
no,
Edge.
no, it's
one of
brought
our
to-
other sponsors, our longtime standing sponsor,
VoiceOver Extra,
VoiceOver Extra News.
your one-stop shop for all sorts of information about everything that's voiceover.
Mm-hmm.
Well, story from tonight, direct from VoiceOver Extra, from our good friend Ron Siglam-Paglia, whose
Excellent.
name I just pronounced perfectly. By
Yeah,
the way.
you've gotten pretty good at it.
Okay, now the question is asked, what happens when you record a spot for use on the internet for $500, and 2 years later you get a call from your buddy saying they heard that spot on TV? National TV! National TV! Anyway, and it was played over 3,000 times.
3,000 times?
Yes. Well, Rob Siglam-Paglia, the voice actor, attorney, and author of VoiceOver Extra's book, Voiceover Legal, says...
Nicely done.
Thank you.
I mean, Rob, nicely done.
Yes,
Slipping that
it's a
in
great book, by the way.
Yeah.
So, this scenario, should I say it like the way he would say it, though?
there. Sure.
Okay. This scenario is not only real, it's happening every day now. I'm hearing of these stories more and more often. And he goes on to say, due to non-union voiceover artists negotiating their contracts on their own with no agency or attorney help. So, can you recover more money from these spots? It depends, Rob says. It depends on the contract.
Okay.
For instance, hopefully you didn't record this under a work-for-hire agreement. Hopefully the words buyout did not occur or did not appear anywhere in your agreement. If these terms are not there, then you may be in luck, Rob says. The material is yours under U.S. copyright law the moment you record it. And unless your client took the proper precautions to license your work, you have recourse. All right? But this is tricky, so the skills of a good agent or attorney, like Rob Siglin-Paglia, voice actor, attorney, will be needed at this particular juncture. And if you want to know more about contracts and many other legal and business issues affecting your voiceover business, check out www.voiceoverlegal.com.
Indeed.
All righty.
Well,
Your
I've got
story, sir. This was an interesting
geekier one.
Yeah.
For everybody with iPhones and iPads, actually, both. iOS 9 is here. Yay! Everybody wants to get it, even if they don't know they want it, or even if they don't know that they want it, or even if Apple says you need it, but you don't. A significant number of Apple Incorporated customers are reporting their mobile devices have crashed after attempting to upload the new iOS 9 operating system, the latest in a line of launch glitches for the tech giant. Yikes. Twitter and other social media were awash with disgruntled customers reporting two distinct faults. One appearing to be linked specifically to older models of Apple iPhones and iPads. So I will editorialize and I will say, so as usual,
As usual.
don't upgrade until the bugs haven't worked out of the system. I usually say wait till the 0.2 version of whatever it is. So if it's iOS 9, wait till a couple of bug releases. Wait till 0.2. It's the same is true for Mac OS. If you're on 10.10 and 10.11 comes out, wait for 10.11.2 because by then they've worked out a lot of the bugs. So be real careful out there. It's harder with iPhones because you can't make a clone or a backup of your phone really easily that you can just restore on a moment's notice like a computer. So be real careful. In other news, Skype was down all day today, and I don't know how many of you were affected in the chat room, but let us know. But I had some problems. Rick, you had problems?
No Skype today.
No Skype today. It was a no Skype day. Perfect on a work day. But anyway, that's it for the news.
Yeah. Now, I put iOS 9 on mine. No problem.
No problem.
No problem whatsoever. I mean, but it's really cool. I mean, get a shot of this.
Dan is the guy who will always upgrade and never have
a problem. Instead of like putting things, if you want to like get rid of stuff,
Yeah.
it used to be, you'd have to go all the way over and
Yeah.
stuff, but now it
Yeah.
just sort of goes like that. It's real cool. So
Very
if I want
pretty.
to stop something, I just take it like that.
I don't have an iOS phone. I have an older an iPad mini, which I might upgrade if I can get enough free space on it. But the big thing I saw was that the keypad has upper and lowercase letters. So when you're typing and you're typing lowercase, it actually shows lowercase letters on the thing. Isn't that a big deal?
That is a big deal.
I think that's a big deal.
Hit the up key.
I've always been annoyed that it always shows uppercase whether you're in upper and lowercase letters. It's always driven me crazy. Maybe just me.
Maybe just you.
This could be the one reason I might buy an iPhone next time.
Well, I'm waiting for this. I'm going to get the 6S when it comes out.
Well,
the one that you have to have a whole new pocket sewn on your pants so you can like shove it in.
the
there.
6S Plus.
The 6S Plus.
The 6S
yes.
Plus.
Yeah, because my iPad is now like 5 years old and it's starting to go very slow.
Yeah. Well,
So-
I when I pull out my iPad mini, which is the first gen,
Yeah.
I just get so impatient now. It's ridiculous. I mean, it's ridiculous that
Yeah.
we get impatient, but
I just want to read my freaking mail.
my phone is so much faster than the iPad
know.
mini. I use it for one app now, DJ. It's a
Yeah.
killer DJ app for the iPad.
Cool.
It's so awesome. It works with Spotify.
Very
20
cool.
million songs you can have in your DJ queue at any
How do
time.
it takes you a while to go through those 20 million songs.
No,
So
but it has auto mix mode. You hit auto mix and it
Yep.
picks songs that match the it's
what
freaking
an
cool.
age we live in.
Anyway.
Well, we have lots more coming up here on Voiceover Body Shop. Live here from Sherman Oaks. Rick Wasserman's our guest in just a little bit. So stay tuned. We'll be right back after this message, which is supposed to be
live right now.
See, we should actually go to a recorded spot and then come back live. But
I thought we'd do the live read and then do the spot.
Okay. You know our good friend Harlan Hogan? The owner of VoiceOverEssentials.com. He's there. He's been there forever. As a matter of fact, I think when the Earth was made, he was holding one of the hammers. And it was VoiceOver Essentials that allows you to get anything you could possibly get for VoiceOver. Mm-hmm. So go over to VoiceOverEssentials.com and check it out. Look at all the great stuff that our great friend Harlan Hogan has over there. Aside from the Signature Series stuff that he has, like the Signature Series headphones and the Signature Series microphone, the official guest interview mic of VoiceOver Body Shop, but also you can get almost anything there, along with all sorts of books on VoiceOver, including his own book, his own several books.
That's right.
He talks about all the great things that, about technology, the stuff that goes even deeper than the stuff we talk about here most of the time.
There's always a little humor.
But also with his great sense of humor that is mixed in there. His guy helps him, Jeff Fisher, write this technical stuff, and Harlan will just go, yeah, whatever.
Harlan inserts the funny stuff.
He does lots of funny stuff in there. So if you're looking for good books on VoiceOver or actually anything, because you can get the MicPort Pro there, any microphone
on the air signs,
on the air signs, which we actually have here in the studio, which is now hanging behind that door.
Trust
See,
us,
we have to put it here.
Yeah.
We'll hang it up there. And that sort of thing. So go over to voiceoveressentials.com and buy everything he has, because that will make him very happy and us very happy. But most importantly, it will make you happy because you're going to get the best stuff that you can in the voiceover business. So go over to voiceoveressentials.com right now. And you can go there if you like scroll down the page. Rick Wasserman, scroll down the page a little bit and go down to the bottom there. No, down. You see the picture of Harlan Hogan there? Okay, you click on that, and it'll take you right there.
Presto, changeo.
That's right.
And you're off to the races.
Ta-da. All right. VoiceOverEssentials.com. Go there.
Thanks, Harlan.
Thanks, Harlan.
Appreciate it, buddy.
We'll be right back after this recorded message.
Man, there's one show that I can't miss. It's called VOBS. And a lot of people are like, VOBS? What is that? That is BS about VO. And I love VO. How much BS is going to be in this show? There's only one way to find out, baby.
Are you confused about how to set up and maintain a professional quality voiceover studio? No wonder. The information out there is mostly mythology. This is the best microphone to use. You'll have to have a preamp. You need a soundproof booth. This software is the best. Your audio must be broadcast quality. Consult with someone who knows the truth. Someone who's been there, in the trenches, doing voiceover for over 30 years. Someone with unparalleled experience with voiceover studios, who's worked with hundreds of voice actors and designed hundreds of personal studios. He knows how to teach and cares about your success. In one of the harshest environments known to voiceover, your home. Dan Leonard, the Home Studio Master. Separate myth from fact and get a handle on your personal voiceover studio. Contact the Home Studio Master at homevoiceoverstudio.com. Drop off a specimen of your dry audio for a free analysis.
Having dinner tonight? How about having some VO too?
VoiceOver Body Shop.
Have some voiceover with your dinner tonight on VoiceOver Body Shop, 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific.
And we're back here on VoiceOver Body Shop. There we go. And we're back here on VoiceOver Body Shop.
Almost smooth.
Yes. Or VO.
BS.
All right. And lots of it. Rick Wasserman's our guest. We'll be with him in just a couple of minutes. And this is great having a live audience.
So cool.
See, before it used to be I was in my spare bedroom and the only thing I would hear with the dogs barking or, Jacob's got to go to bed. Shut up there.
Exactly. We're actually in a physically separate building from the house. It really feels...
We've sealed ourselves in. Nothing can get in.
It's amazing.
For at least
even
an hour
sarin gas.
That's right. Maybe, yeah, that's not such a good idea.
No.
You're going to give them all ideas too.
Right.
Anyway, we have a live audience tonight. You know, we get a shot of Rebecca Davis is here.
Yay, Rebecca Davis came.
She's officially our floor manager tonight.
Yay! Thank you.
And Jim Manzel, who's here, who's learning about streaming and webcasting and stuff, and so this is great. We have room for people in here.
So cool.
We're gonna have
sofa is freaking.
We have a sofa in here now, so it's like real comfortable to be in here. Anyway, are there any technical questions that have been thrown in here tonight so far?
Let me see what we got. Well, we had something about where did it go?
I don't know.
Where did that question go that was in there?
There was a question earlier.
Hey, is our chat room person on top of it?
Yeah,
tonight?
Shelley, where's that question?
Hey, Shelley, where's that question at? Eh? Let me see what I got. What I got.
All right.
Just
talk amongst yourselves. We'll be right with you.
No, I had a good one that was in here.
Okay.
It got lost.
Question.
In the
There
mix.
it is. Okay. Question.
So, this one's actually for Rick.
Yeah.
So we should save this one for Rick.
Okay,
later.
we'll save it for Rick.
Because
okay.
this one's about. Yeah, this one's definitely for Rick. Save that
okay.
one for Rick.
All right. So yeah, I got that one too.
Yeah, these are for Rick. He's got a question about demos and how to get noticed. Okay,
All
cool.
right.
We'll save those.
Not a technical question.
We'll save those for Rick for sure.
Okay. There's one. That one there. Jay Williams question.
Oh, that's Bill. That's Bill Russell.
Oh, okay.
He had a question about how to cancel a subscription. Is that a technical question?
Subscription of
Phil, of all the questions you
Really?
sent in for the show, how to cancel your subscription?
Yeah, now they're all going to be asking that one.
just said something to you guys.
Oh man.
Okay. What did Shelley say? She said.
You haven't sent the doc yet, guys.
Oh. Well, that would help.
No, we had a question. Let's just riff on a good topic right now.
Okay. Let's
So
flip a coin and come up with a good technical
the one
topic.
thing that I think that's coming up a lot lately
Yeah.
is definitely has to do with mic placement.
Mic placement.
And we talk about this a lot, but I've found it more and more often now. The mic placement makes up for a not so great booth. And when you're in a really, really small voiceover booth, mic placement becomes a lot more critical, way more critical. Because I'm finding out that even if you think you've designed a booth correctly, even if you think you've got all the bass trapping and all those bits and pieces put into the booth, I find that if you still don't have the mic placement right, you are going to get some of the boothiness in that booth. You're going to get a little bit of that resonance, that boominess, that boxiness, those things that people associate with a home studio, which is not good. Because we always talk about we want your studio to not sound like a home studio.
Right.
It can be in a home, but it shouldn't sound like a home studio. Right. So be real careful with placement. It used to be that you, especially in a big space like we have, like I am, let's go to the wide shot where you can actually see the mic. You see how far away from the mic I am? I'm a good I'm about 18 inches away from the mic, but I can get away with that because we're in a big space and behind us out there is an even larger space. And that whole space is acoustically treated. That whole room is treated to be dead and not have a lot of reflection.
The people are absorbing the sound too.
They're
diffusing it a little bit.
Yeah, we've got stuff on the ceiling. Everything about the space is to sound like a studio. But if you're in a small enclosed space, the problem what happens is even if you've got 2-3 inches, even 4 inches of foam on the walls, some of that sound still makes it through the foam, still manages to come right back out, and the microphone still hears that. And so you get that mixture of direct sound and reflected sound. That reflected sound that gets mixed in is that boxy sound.
Right.
That people think of.
Yeah.
So,
Now, there's a number of ways to prevent that.
Mm-hmm.
One is having the proper acoustical treatment in there.
yeah, you do the best you can.
Right. You don't want to have a lot of hard surfaces.
No, very few.
And so if you have bare walls, the sound's going to bounce off of there.
Yeah.
Now, in this particular room, we are surrounded with the extinct studio suit,
Yeah.
which unfortunately no longer manufactured, but it works great.
Who knows? We might find a new source for this stuff and have Studio Suit. Duh.
Can't wait. I'm a voice actor, not a manufacturer. Damn it.
Damn it.
Damn it, Jim.
Hey, we're in Van Nuys. We got to be able to find somebody.
I know.
Or near Van Nuys.
That's true. So anyway, but this particular room sounded pretty bouncy when we first walked in here.
Yeah.
And then we treated it, and now, even with this out here, I could probably record in here with the door wide open, and it would still sound good.
Yeah, I mean, right now we have an air conditioning unit that's with that door wide open.
No, not that one.
Not that door.
That's when the black helicopter starts circling here.
Yeah.
And
the double doors into the room. We have
Right.
double doors.
Right.
But we have an air conditioning unit on the wall that's not totally silent. So to do critical recording, we'd have to shut that off.
Right.
But we decided to keep it on for the show to make it comfy for everybody.
Right.
In here.
And I set it at about 18 Celsius.
Yikes.
Yes.
What's that work out to be? 11 below zero?
Something like
I
that.
can never do the math on this stuff.
Yeah, no, it's about 75 degrees.
Okay, nice.
Or thereabouts. All the Canadians are going, Leonard doesn't know the Celsius stuff.
But I find that the smaller the studio, the booth you're in, the more tight the placement has to be. Or basically, the window of placement is smaller. Right. So you don't necessarily want to be really close to the mic because it gets boomy, but you can't get too far away because then it gets boxy or boothy. So that you have that 3-3 inch window, you have to fit it, fine.
Right. And it depends on the microphone, of course, too.
Oh, yeah.
Here we have the 416.
Right.
And here we have my other top mic, my trusty TLM 103.
Right.
And, you really don't talk right on top of these things. I mean, mics like this will give you intense proximity effect. And I'm sure Rick can probably talk about this with the 416.
Yeah, Rick's got a 416.
Yeah, when you get really close up to one of these mics, what happens is you get what's called proximity effect. And proximity effect is essentially bass frequencies take more energy to move through the air, where you've got one air molecule bumping into the next, then bumping into the next, and then bumping into the next.
Right.
It happens much faster than that.
Right.
But because when you get a lot closer, it doesn't have time, because the energy doesn't dissipate. Mm-hmm. So as you get closer to the microphone, I have not changed my tone at all, but as you can hear, it gets a little bit deeper.
I'll even turn off the high pass filter so they can really hear how much.
Okay, all right. So I'm back here. If I get a little bit closer and get closer like this, and you can now hear that it gets very, very deep sounding.
Oh, yeah.
Which is not my natural voice unless I'm talking right into your ear.
Yeah, think of the microphone like an ear. Would you do a commercial spot or like an announcing spot and do it from this far away?
You don't talk half an inch from somebody's eardrum. No. I'm sorry, it doesn't work that way unless you're using a 416 and effectuating your voice to make it sound like, be there.
Yeah. And the 416 is different because, and if I tilt this up a little bit better so you can see it more on camera.
Right.
See if I can do this.
It's there.
So on this microphone, the thing that's interesting is, as you can hear how directional it is. If I'm over here, it's way off mic. But this mic, the capsule that actually hears your voice is way down here. It's not up here. It's way down here. So if you get up on a 416, you don't get that really pronounced proximity effect. So you can get on this mic pretty tight, and it never gets too boomy and too muddy. And so it's got a different technique because you can work it a little bit further and a little bit closer, but you don't get a lot of the proximity effect out of it. So if you're someone that likes to get that super rich announcery sound, the 416 is probably not the greatest mic for that. The TLM is probably going to be better for that. But you can always put some of it back with EQ. You can always bump up the bottom end. Actually, a couple questions are popping into the chat room now.
Oh, good. Now you guys
These are
come up with
actually related to voiceover studio stuff, so that's good. Are any of them ending up in the chat room? Whoa, that just popped up on the chat. Whoa, that was cool. How did that happen? We're still learning new stuff about our own chat room. It's pretty swift. In regards to, they're popping out of the top of the screen, far out.
All right.
Steve Tardio asked. I'll get this one. You get the next one.
Okay.
Do you see the one from Steve Tardio?
I'm working
2 minutes
on it.
ago. He says, regarding mic placement while on the road, how close should your mic be? It's a typo. How close? Oh, now it's auto scrolling. Oh, that's fun. That's why you guys copy and paste them into the show notes for us. Regarding it's auto scrolling. Every time somebody types a new message, it scrolls. That's why we have people copy and paste them into the show notes, except for tonight. So we have to do this on the fly.
We're still getting used to doing this show together. It used to be so easy.
Well, you'd think it'd be easier when we're doing it together, but the thing is we have new distractions.
Yeah, like people and stuff.
When we're in our own little cubbies at home, you kind of get insulated after a little while.
Right.
This really keeps you on your toes when
We're
you're
working
together.
on
It's more fun.
Right.
Okay, so
The question was,
regarding mic placement on the road, how close should you be to the mic in one of Harlan's porta booths?
oh, okay.
Closer, right? A little closer than usual?
There's a trick to the porta booth.
Yeah.
And the trick is,
I'll find the next question while you answer.
okay, well, the thing is you want to have the same proximity rules as you have with any other microphone. But with the Porta Booth Pro or the Porta Booth Plus, you don't talk right into the cave. You don't talk into the center of it. Talk across the top lip of it. I was experimenting with it once, and it gets rid of that entire cave sound that a lot of people say happens with that. If you talk into the top lip, it does a great job of eliminating the room ambiance and all those sorts of things. So talk like just underneath the top lip, but use the same mic techniques as you would at home.
There's definitely a very unique technique to getting the best out of the porta booth.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. It works great when you do that, though.
Yeah, absolutely. Robin Rowan says, doesn't the TLM 103 pick up everything? Like your husband breathing in the back of the house? Robin, what website is he looking at?
Yeah, yeah, really.
No, it does, doesn't it?
Well, it's a sensitive mic, and therefore it picks up all the subtleties of your voice. Unless you have a really sound tight room, the 103 may not be one of the best choices. And that's why, if you get something like a Perception 220 or something, or one of the MXLs that's not one of the really high-end MXLs, they're not as sensitive to lots of random frequencies and stuff like that. But they're great for voiceover, and there isn't an engineer out there, well, I'm sure there's one or two, that really can't tell the difference. As long as it sounds right and sounds proper, and you're at the proper distance and your levels are good, it's not going to make a difference. So,
yeah.
But the 103 is really good if you have a great
studio.
to work
The
in.
416 is a little more forgiving.
Like when they're blowing leaves out there.
It's a little more forgiving, yeah. Exactly. Michael Bleha says, I'm in a roughly 4x5 closet, but with all the stuff in it, the space I'm free to use is now more like 3.5 by 4 feet or something like that. And the rest of the question, because it scrolled off. So yeah, I'm paying attention right now. Oh, in other words, what he's saying is I'm in a really small booth, so he's definitely going to make sure he uses these techniques. Dave Smith says, what about the Rode NTG1? Yeah, the Rode NTG1 is a shotgun mic.
Right.
I don't know if it's quite as directional as a 416 because I think it might be a little bit shorter shotgun mic, but these rules apply to any shotgun mic. They all have the same design principles behind them.
Right.
Yeah.
So try that.
Thanks so much for the questions. I think we need to get Rick on here because he's been really patient.
He has. He's having a good time with Rebecca over there, though. They're just watching the chat room and
we're drinking
and drinking heavily.
They're hammered.
Right. All right.
Did you do before session?
Anyway, we'll be right back with Rick Wasserman right after these messages, so don't go anywhere.
Voiceover Body Shop, where you can learn everything from mic technique to how to market your voiceover business to acting your way out of a wet paper sack, which is my favorite, by the way.
VO Studio Tech. Recording made simple.
Hi, I'm Peter McHugh.
This is Jim Tasker from Los Angeles, California.
Hi, this is Bill Ratner in Los Angeles.
Hi, this is Scott Rummel here in Yorba Linda, California.
Hi, my name is Rick Wasserman.
Hi, this is Tom Kane.
Hi, my name is Vanessa Marshall.
Hi, my name is Zurich.
Hi, I'm Mary McKittrick.
Randy Thomas chiming in.
Hi, this is Joe Szymanski.
Hey, this is Rick Robles.
Hi, my name is John Patrick Armstrong.
I was turned on to George by none other than Don LaFontaine, who always swore by his health.
George is absolutely awesome.
ISDN, Source Connect, Phone Patch, FTP, you name it, George has set it up.
It's really the best thing I've ever done for myself. I feel free, safe, fearless, like anything is possible in here.
Unless you like to look for opportunities to waste time, call George.
And he did all of that, long distance over the phone and the internet.
I'm very happy with George, and I cherish him.
Thanks, George. You make it easy.
Thanks for joining us once again for another episode of Voiceover Body Shop.
And we're back here on Voiceover Body Shop with our live audience and our... It sounds like a huge crowd, doesn't it? But we're going to have to do a live studio night, an audience night once a month.
Yeah.
The missus has agreed that we can, the bathroom can take it one night a month.
She approves.
She approves.
Well, the plumber is here tonight,
so that'll probably work. Anyway, it's time to introduce our guest who's been patiently waiting to embarrass himself on our show tonight.
We got to get our spot in from our new sponsor. Our new sponsor, because he's he's been a host. Actually, he's been a guest on the show.
Yeah, several
David
times.
H. Lawrence.
Yeah.
But he decided after being on the show last time, he wants to actually sponsor the freaking show.
Let's read through this. And, okay. All right. So
go for it.
All right. So now the copy is now like off to the side here.
It's cut off the edge of the screen.
I've cut off the edge. All right, but I know how to do it. I read before. I know how to do it. Maybe you remember last fall, I was in a production of The Music Man.
Yeah.
I had a terrible time learning my lines. It was awful. I mean, mostly because, the director was like busy with all the dancing numbers and like paid no attention. We didn't run my stuff very much.
Right.
I had a lot of trouble learning my lines. So I'm walking backstage going,
he had trouble.
I had a lot of trouble learning.
With a capital T?
And which rhymes with P. That stands for pool.
All week, folks.
Yes. Anyway, our good friend David H. Lawrence the 17th has an app. And it's called the Rehearsal app. And it's an actor, so you can learn your lines, get off book, and book more work. Makes total sense to me.
Yeah, and this thing has a built-in recording function.
It does. It's been the industry standard for over 5 years, used by professional actors on every show on TV.
That's pretty impressive.
On all sorts of films, and by A-list actors and everyone in between.
And he knows because he knows who's downloading the app. So.
That's right.
Yeah.
Lots of them. And because they got to write their name in there. Anyway, It's the only app that lets voiceover talent audition from their iPhones, iPads, and iPod touches. It's touch, but it says touche there.
Touche.
Anyway, but you can record your MP3s right from the device, and it helps you learn your lines. This is really good. And coming soon, a brand new Rehearsal. It's time to go pro. So
Rehearsal.pro.
Go to Rehearsal.pro and back their Indiegogo campaign. Great way to fund new businesses and stuff. And you can be the first to get the new Rehearsal app.
50% off?
50% off for being an early bird backer. So buy it. David H. Lawrence the 17th and the Rehearsal app, a new sponsor here on VOBS. So
thanks, Dave.
We really appreciate that, David, and great guy too. And we'd say that even if he wasn't buying time here. But that's the important thing. A Rehearsal app, it's great for voiceover, for on stage, clearly for film and all that kind of stuff. So check it out.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Was there another spot there? Or
no, man.
Okay. So now can I introduce our guest?
Now we can do it.
Yay!
Finally. He's
all right. All right. Now you were with us, Rick Wasserman. You got the two-shot here?
Yeah, we got the two-shot, baby. We're prime time.
There we go. That's better. Rick Wasserman, ladies and gentlemen. All right.
We love you. Have my baby.
See, now before we just had technical trouble. Now we're just learning it. It all works.
Now we have
just
human trouble.
It really is. Very nice.
Human trouble.
That's right. Now, you were with us on episode 93 in May of 2013.
Well, I've matured since then.
It's a little grayer.
A little grayer. Thanks for pointing that out.
I know.
It's my last time on this show.
Now, you're from Kalamazoo, Michigan.
I am.
You know, our good friend Anthony Gettig is from Kalamazoo.
Is he?
Yeah. And every time I hear that, all I can think of is, I got a gal in Kalamazoo. Anyway.
Anybody?
Yeah. No. All right. But you lived in New York.
I did.
You were... Whenever you go to see a Broadway show, not on Broadway, and you get to read the program, and you look at whoever, who's who in the cast,
yes,
it always says, especially if it's a New York cast, your credits always are Law and Order.
That's right. It's a requisite thing. Yes, we had to do it. We had to do it.
Were you a dead body, or you were just background, or you were like...
No. I had just come out of grad school, and in grad school, because I had a deep voice, I would very often play kind of crazy old drunk man, second banana guy. And then when I got out of grad school, all I auditioned for were young Jewish guys. And I didn't know how to play them. So the Law and Order, I actually played a young Jewish guy. I actually had to study up on how to do that.
It's not much to study. It's just like everybody else.
Yeah.
They make it talk more proper.
like more proper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the direction they gave you for that?
More Jewish. No, they didn't. They didn't.
More phlegm in your voice. Exactly. All right. Now you're out here on the coast, and you are just having a great time.
I am. Yeah, it's great. Yeah, we moved to. I guess I was already in Malibu. Yeah, I must have already been in Malibu last time we spoke. We've been there now for about 3 years, and it's fantastic. Right. It's fantastic. Really, really quiet. George built my booth when I was in West Hollywood. And I lived there for a long, long time, and it was really noisy. There was Fairfax High across the street, and it's Melrose traffic. Mm-hmm. So we insulated the walls, we insulated all the electrical outlets, and there was tons of anyway. So this new place, it's already quiet. I mean, it's in the middle of nowhere. It's very
just
very,
the
very,
sound of the waves gently crashing on the shore.
That. And it's a kind of a horsey community. So once in a while,
occasional horse.
Yeah, you'll be reading. Yeah, and once in a while, there's. Okay. Yeah, that's all we have to deal with.
Well, that's not too bad.
It's not bad. No.
Right, you don't hear it at night.
No, not so much.
All right. Well, that's good. So, what kind of stuff are you working with? Now, I can read all the stuff you're doing.
If you want, I'll go out and
hang
out with the plumber.
No, I want to hear what you. I wonder if he's still here. Anyway, but you're working with AMC, which I watch a lot of.
Yes.
And
AMC.
Tell us what it's like, being plastered across, one of the most watched networks out there.
It's fun. I mean, the really great thing about AMC, and always has been this way, is that they allow me to help kind of create the sound. So they don't dictate exactly it's got to sound like this, it's got to sound like that. They just give me some kind of parameters and then kind of let me play, which is terrific.
I'd say.
It's great. They really kind of let me, be creative. So yes, there was Mad Men and Breaking Bad, and those are gone now. That was great. They
live on in Netflix.
They do. They certainly do. Yes, it was fun. And now we're working on a bunch of new shows. So there's The Walking Dead, and that's coming back. And now there's this new Fear the Walking Dead. I'll admit, there's not a huge voice jump between The Walking Dead and Fear the Walking Dead. But people who really listen, pay attention, can hear these subtle differences. Yeah. There's a new show called Into the Badlands, which looks badass. Amazing. A lot of sword fighting and really, really, really cool stuff. Yes, very excited about that.
South Dakota.
In South Dakota.
Not
those Badlands. Okay. No. And then there is Humans. Did you see this show? Humans is a show about robots. And
I saw the ads for it. Haven't caught it.
Very sexy robot in the ad.
Yeah, but, it's an ironic title. Is that what you're saying?
It is in fact an ironic title. Yes, George, you found it. You pointed it out.
I'm following.
Yeah, you get a sticker.
I just want you guys to know I'm still listening.
He's not just pushing buttons.
No. He's not just a pretty face.
Yeah. So when Mad Men went off the air, were you sad about that?
Yeah, but we're still doing some stuff. Like John Hamm just won.
Finally.
Great actor.
Great Don Draper. So I'm sure there'll be a spot or two about that. We'll get to say Mad Men once in a while still. So
cool.
That's good.
Yeah. And do you ever think they'll bring it back, or is it just gone?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
It's interesting. They don't tell me those things.
Right.
I'm just not part of that inner circle. But I'll be sure to let you know. That is, if you watch the network and hear me say it, then you'll know.
I'll know.
Yeah, then you'll know.
Until then.
That's right. All right. So. Now everything's covered up on here. Anyway.
Here, I'll do it.
Okay, no, you can just move that. Okay. All right, so are you doing any on-camera stuff?
Nope. Next. Sorry. Yes, actually I am.
Right now you're doing
right now. I am doing right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Your agent's okay with this, right?
With this?
Yeah.
Very happy about it. Okay. Was encouraging me all week. Are you going to be on VOBS? Go. Yeah. Yeah, very excited to be here.
Movie trailers?
Sure.
Is that like, your agent says, we got this movie coming up and be here at a certain time, or you do them at home?
I do. I get to do almost everything at home. The only things I don't get to do at home are animation and video games. But even narration I get to do at home, which is great, because kind of long form narration, you don't want to be stuck in a studio, maybe.
No.
But if you're at your own studio, you have whatever luxuries you have there. You may or may not get dressed, so that's something to consider.
Always a possibility.
Yep, always a possibility. So, I I mean, like 87% of all the things I do, I get to do from home. It's a real luxury.
A lot of ISDN work?
Yeah, fair amount of ISDN work. I have recently started doing spots for Super Bowl 50.
Ooh.
Yes.
Wow, they're planning ahead.
Yeah. Well, it's coming up.
Do you know who's going to be in Super Bowl 50?
I do. In fact,
right.
I don't know anything about Mad Men coming back, but I do know who wins Super Bowl 50.
And it's Super Bowl 50.
Yeah.
They decided not to go with
the Roman numerals. It's just too confusing. Yeah. But yeah, Super Bowl 50. So I started doing that for NFL Network, and I am a voice for a new network called Poker Central, an entire network about poker. Yeah.
Amazing how popular that is.
It is.
You know, I mean, I've seen there's several poker shows on and stuff. So enough apparently for an entire network.
I used to do the World Series of Poker promo spots for ESPN. So on ESPN, kind of hardcore sports network, poker shows. Big.
I don't understand how it's like just looking at people's faces. It's all poker faces.
Well, I hope to be part of the Uno network and the Connect 4 network coming up.
Is there a Monopoly network?
There might be. There might just be. Joe Cipriano's doing that, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. All right. So let's talk a little bit about your studio. I mean, we mentioned it that, aside from the horses going by, what do you have in there? What are you using for?
George, I actually have essentially the same studio I have had for 15 years, right? I mean, have we changed anything?
Not really. Nothing. Nothing that's in the signal chain, as you say. Right?
I have a Sennheiser 416. It is the same Sennheiser 416 I've had for 15 years. Have not changed it. Has never been to repair. It's brilliant. What a solid piece of machinery that is.
Yeah.
So I've had that, and then
the only thing we changed, I guess, was we went from the DBX 286 to the Vorsys.
Yes, to the Vorsys.
You're still using the Vorsys. Right?
I am, and the reason we did that was essentially because you can remote control it, right? Like which is pretty cool.
Pretty cool and much harder to do than we thought it was going to be.
Well, but still, it was the kind of thing where I'm not so tech savvy that I know exactly what I'm doing. I usually have to call George in a panic. So rather than my doing that, this Vorsys allows him to control it, remotely. So he can just kind of, I don't know how he does it. I'm like from the Flintstones. I have no idea how he does it. Somehow, through his creepy magical powers, he is able to tap into my preamp and affect the controls. And I know that it also came in handy because I have a 3.5-year-old and a 6-year-old, Sam and Max. I'm sure they're watching. They once in a while would find themselves in the booth and just poke everything and turn every knob.
Oh, yeah.
But you can lock the face of it.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's the Vorsys. That's why I get that one. You can lock the face of it, so it doesn't matter what they do, the controls stay the same. So I've got that. The only thing I think I've really added, you're going to like this, is I've added a wind sock to the 416, which, comes with it, but I just never ever used it. I never thought to use it. But you were talking about this before. I find that I very often with a 416 get really, really close to it.
Right.
I don't know if that's a bad habit or not. I know I've picked up some bad habits because I never really took any classes or I was never really I never took coaching. So I learned a lot of bad habits along the way, but I get real close, especially for things like Mad Men, where I get really close to the mic, as though, and I like that whole analogy, like talking to someone's ear. That's exactly what it was.
But that's not what you're doing when you're doing promo.
That's what I'm doing when I'm doing promo. When I do Mad Men spots, when I'm doing Walking Dead spots, it's as intimate as I can get it, as though I'm going, come here, tonight on, so it's that intimate.
Yeah.
But I was finding I'm getting a little bit of that. What were you calling it before? When you get too close, proximity hoo-ha. So when I get too close to it, I get an issue. So the whole reason for having that little foamy windsock on it, it's just a little mind trick. I kind of pull the sleeve halfway off so I can talk closer to the mic, but I'm not really closer. I've just got about 2 inches of foam there, and it makes me feel like I'm closer.
Great
Tips
idea.
and tricks.
That's a good tip.
Wasserman.
I'm going to write that one down.
Yeah.
Make sure I do that.
Do that.
When I use my 416.
But yeah, essentially the same thing. It's the same studio I've had forever, and it's tried and true. We have over the years, we've gotten we got a Neumann at one point. There was a couple different microphones. We've had a big fancy preamp with tubes, and it lit up, and I was very excited about having it. But at the end of the day, I sounded better on what I had.
Yeah.
I have the same whisper booth. It's like a telephone booth shaped. It's no big. I can't sit down in it. It's just
small.
a stand up. It's just perfect for me. It's just right.
And that's the way it should be.
And that's the way it should be. And my desk has changed. It's the same desk, But George turned me on to a builder who built me riser for it.
Mm-hmm. Now you're standing?
And now I'm standing.
Much better for you.
It's great. It's really great because really, if I'm not in that booth standing up, I'm in front of the computer sitting down. And that can be a lot of sitting down and editing and whatever, and it'll mess up your back.
Once you have a sound that works for you, the rest of it's all just little life hack things to make you more comfortable.
That's what it is. That's what it is, life hack. Nice switching back and forth. Camera A.
Thank you, man.
He can do it all.
This
Really,
is
one-man band.
This is high tech.
It's really amazing.
Let's talk a little bit about, we have a vast audience out there. Some beginners, some intermediate folks. You have a manager, right?
I do.
And an agent?
Multiple. Yeah, I have agents.
Okay. How many agents do you have?
I've got an agent in New York, and I got an agent in LA, and I've got a manager who just takes care of promos and trailers for me.
Really?
Yeah.
How does that work? I mean, he's like finding you this stuff, or is he just organizing what everybody else gets for you?
Yes, all of that. Finds me stuff and organizes and schedules stuff as well. So it's been very, very helpful. Jason Marks. Jason Marks was my agent at Don Buchwald and Associates many, many years ago. And then he said, hey, I'm leaving. I'm going to start my own thing. I'm going to be a voiceover manager. I went, what sort of thing is that? And he told me. And it was me and Howard Parker and Tony, and it was just us in the very beginning. And now he's got a stable of some incredible voice talent. He has women on his roster, as he should. It's fantastic. So between him and my New York people and my LA people, I'm covered. I'm covered for everything. Promos and commercials and animation and video games. And I've got a great, great team. Yeah. And I don't have to say that, but I do.
When did you decide you needed a manager? When he said, hey, I'm going to be a manager? Or when should somebody really think about that?
I was going to ask you about that,
too. Yeah, that's
it's
a great question.
Trailers is like an interesting niche that's kind of controlled by a couple of managers, sort of. How does that work?
I think it is. I mean, it's a pretty small thing.
Relationships. They have these relationships with the trailer houses kind of thing?
They do have relationships. My manager has relationships with trailer houses, and so do the agents. It's the kind of thing where, and there are trends too, so there's a trend for a certain kind of sound, so they'll go back to a certain talent. For a while there, I was doing every urban hip-hop movie there was. So anything like Step Up 2, Step Up 3, I'm sure that was a big fan of yours. Yeah. Let's see, Step Up 4, Bring the Noise, all these kind of
great trailers, by the way. I never went to see the movie, but it's like, great trailers.
So that was my thing. So any kind of urban hip hop, anything that came along was me, and I just kind of fell into that little niche,
which is always good.
Which is great. You want a niche.
That's right.
Yeah, get a niche,
and several of them.
Have niches. Niche-eye. What's the plural?
Look that up.
Look it up.
Shy.
But yes, it was sort of that thing where I was at Don Buchwald and Jason told me what he was doing and he said, would you come along? And I said, absolutely. And I did. So I did kind of just fall into it. I've fallen into a lot of great things in my life. Yeah. I think I mentioned this in 2013 during the first interview, but why not, rehash it?
It was a while ago.
I'm recycling material. But I was at Don Buchwald and I was signing my contracts with my on-camera commercial agents and Jason Marks walked by the office. It was just one of those things. Like I was at the soda fountain, I was discovered kind of a thing. And he said, hey, do you do voiceover? And I said, no. I went, come here, and pulled me out. And that was it. From that moment on, I've been represented and been doing voiceover. And I realized that I'm extremely lucky that way, especially when I talk to clients that I've been coaching trying to get representation. It's tricky. It's not always as easy as sitting in a room and having someone walk by.
Right.
And I think it might be trickier even today because the trend today is to have a voice, a conversational everyman voice. Right. But when myself or Joe Cipriano or some of these guys, when we wake up, we sound like game show hosts. We sound like announcers. And, you read every piece of copy right now. It says no announcers. So back in the day, if you heard me speak, it might have been easier to point at me and say, come here, you should do voiceover. But now it's kind of the everyman. You want to hear a guy who can say Geico. And it sounds totally normal, like he just walked in off the street.
Right.
That's what they want. Might be harder to find that guy now.
But with really good diction.
Right. Or it's someone who sounds like they've never done voiceover before, but knows how to work a microphone, can take direction, knows how to break down copy. So it's meant to look effortless, but it's not. It takes some effort.
Effortless, the more convincing, I guess.
Absolutely. They call it naturalistic. It almost feels voyeuristic. That is like as though you were talking to someone about car insurance and someone snuck a microphone in and recorded it. That's kind of the sound they want. That kind of naturalistic.
Yeah. You're coaching now.
I am.
Tell us a little bit what it's like to coach and who you know. You don't have to mention names, but how do you work with people? Because we're going to play a little game with that a little bit later on.
I lucked out that my parents are both great teachers. My wife is a teacher of 12 years, and I've been surrounded by teachers. I got my MFA, so I'm technically I can teach, but I don't know. 5 or 6 years ago, someone started asking me questions about voiceover. You've been doing it for a little while. Well, how do you do this and how do you do that? And I started emailing people and then emailing more people. And then I started collating all these emails and putting them together. And I thought, geez, it's actually possible for me to teach a class maybe. I could probably teach a class. And I would feel good about it too, because like I said before, I didn't have a lot of training. And I made some really embarrassing mistakes. And I thought, geez, if I could keep anyone from making even one of those mistakes, I'd feel really good about myself. And the other thing that's really great about coaching is, as you know, with voiceover, you're in an isolation booth. It could be for all day. It could be for all week. And it could be
sometimes
for
months at a time.
Months at a time.
Just slip your meals under the door.
And believe me, I'm incredibly grateful for the work. But on the other hand, it is isolating. So I had this conversation with my wife. I said, I'm in a box all day, every day. And when not to get grim, but when I croak, I'll be in a box forever. So sometime between now and then, I need some time outside of the box. So I said, maybe I'll teach. Teaching's a really great way to still do voiceover. And by the way, the guilty, secret about the whole thing is I get better at my voiceover teaching it.
You teach best that which you need to learn most.
Wow. Just like that. Just like that. Somebody make a bumper sticker for this man. So that's what I did. I started teaching, and it gets me out of the booth. It helps polish what I do myself and reminds me about some things that I need to keep working on, because I think voiceover, like any performing art, is a chase. I don't think one day you get it and you're done and you never have to think about it again. As you kind of progress through your career, you're constantly changing, adding things to your process, shedding things that are not working for you anymore. And that's what that process has been like. I come from an acting background, so my coaching has a definite acting/storytelling bent. I consider things like circumstance, partner, action, objective, obstacle. That makes sense to me. And at the end of the day, whether you're doing commercial or promo or trailer, animation, narration, live announce, you are telling a story. So if you are an actor and you want to start doing voiceover, it's not a huge leap. You already know how to probably take direction. You already have some ideas about the foundation building blocks of storytelling. But if you've never acted before, that's no worry either. Because at the end of the day, it is just storytelling. And storytelling, at the end of the day, is just pretending. Yeah. It's pretending, and we can all pretend. It's playing. And if you can get back to playing. Remember, there used to be a day where your mom would throw open the back door and say, go play, and just do it. Right. And now, if anyone would throw open a door and say, go play, you call security. Right. So it just takes getting back to that spot. We just had... So my coaching and demo company is called Bookable, and we just had a workshop. It was a women's animation voiceover workshop, just for women. I don't think women get enough kind of specific attention in voiceover as a whole, and I thought it was really important to do. So I didn't teach it. I asked a friend of mine, and I think a friend of the show, Rachel Butera, who is lovely and fantastic and hysterical.
And very funny.
Yeah. Very funny and amazing. You know people who do impressions, and she does, but it's something else what she has. It's some muscle she has. We were talking during the workshop, and she'd ask me to chime in here and there, and I say, now what she does is it's just a muscle she has. She's like a minor bird. She could just hear it and do it. And she looked at me and she goes, I can do you right now. And I'm sure she could. Just
That sounds like something she would say,
yeah.
actually.
Yeah. She's wonderful. She's wonderful. Yeah, we love Rachel. So she was great. And we have more workshops like that coming up. Now we have workshops, foundation workshop. By the way, that's really why I wanted to start teaching. I wanted to get this material in schools. While you're in school, learning about whatever performing art you want to get into, right. Sculpting, painting, whatever, it doesn't have to just be acting. Right. So that when you get out, you have this tool in your pocket. You're ready for it. It's not like you have to get out of school and then start scraping money together to start taking voiceover classes. Get it in school so you're ready when you come out. And you may not just have to wait so many tables or barista for so long. Right. You might be able to get a little voiceover work in there, which feels akin to acting. It's a performing art.
Really? The only place really they teach it is like the Columbia School of Broadcasting.
And by the way, the guy there is the guy who taught me. He came to my grad school for a week, and that was it. It was like a big crash course, and it was great. But it's a whirlwind. Then of course it takes time. So
right, no, it's a profession. You got it. There are so many facets to it, and you have to learn it.
You got to learn it.
They didn't teach us that in college.
No.
I mean, they can teach you how to stage act and a little bit of film acting and video and stuff like that. Voiceover is totally unique.
It is unique. I mean, once you know stage acting and film acting, once you know those kind of basic principles of how to break down a script and script analysis and that kind of thing, making the jump over to voiceover, they're kissing cousins. You're going to bring a lot of material with you. And I always say that voiceover, it's not brain surgery. It's not the hardest thing in the world. It's definitely not. It's certainly not laborious, unless you're doing audiobooks all day.
It's not like breaking rocks.
You're not digging ditches for sure, but you do have to know a few things. And I think it's a mistake for anyone who thinks that, they've got a microphone connected to their computer to just do voiceover or just, step up and say, I'm a voiceover performer. Listen, you got to learn a couple things. Not a lot of things, but you have to learn a couple things. Get hungry for it, have an appetite for it, and be willing to chase those things for the rest of your career.
Absolutely.
Be hungry.
Be hungry. Get hungry. I the tiger.
Yeah. It's after 7. I'm getting hungry myself.
Hey!
All right. So we're going to take a break now. And we have lots of questions from our incredibly huge audience.
Yes.
And we're going to have a little fun with our studio audience. And we're going to go over a script and see how that all works out. Or if it'll be a total disaster. Anyway.
You decide, America.
Yes, you get to vote. And the number here is, all right. We'll be right back here on Voiceover Body Shop. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
VO Studio Tech. Recording made simple.
Hi, I'm Peter McHugh.
This is Jim Tasker from Los Angeles, California.
Hi, this is Bill Ratner in Los Angeles.
Hi, this is Scott Rummel here in Yorba Linda, California.
Hi, my name is Rick Wasserman.
Hi, this is Tom Kane.
Hi, my name is Vanessa Marshall.
Hi, my name is Zurich.
Hi, I'm Mary McKittrick.
Randy Thomas chiming in.
Hi, this is Joe Szymanski.
Hey, this is Rick Robles.
Hi, my name is John Patrick Armstrong.
I was turned on to George by none other than Don LaFontaine, who always swore by his health.
George is absolutely awesome.
ISDN, Source Connect, Phone Patch, FTP, you name it, George has set it up.
It's really the best thing I've ever done for myself. I feel free, safe, fearless, like anything is possible in here.
Unless you like to look for opportunities to waste time, call George.
And he did all of that, long distance over the phone and the internet.
I'm very happy with George, and I cherish him.
Thanks, George. You make it easy.
Learning never ends.
You continue to grow.
Edge Studio has grown. Pursue multiple disciplines in tandem and grow your career. We've added new courses in a new curriculum.
We picked the best coaches from the community of working voice actors.
A new technology division, engineering and consulting, led by George Whittam.
Follow your dream.
Sign up for advanced learning or register for an introduction to voice acting or foundation studies program.
See it all now
at thenewedgestudio.com.
Thanks for joining us once again for another episode of Voiceover Body Shop.
And we're back here on Voiceover Body Shop. Rick Wasserman is our guest.
Hey.
All right. And now we're going to have a little fun because we never have fun on this show. Never have, never will. Anyway, yeah, we got to tilt the camera up just a little bit.
My head's
a little bit, you know. There you go. Now you got it. All right. This is actually the floor manager's job, but it's already done. It's already done. Don't worry about it.
Dan, calling you out on live TV.
We're all learning on the job here.
Yeah, absolutely.
This smacks a bit of the Uncle Floyd show. Do you remember that?
No.
You don't remember the Uncle Floyd show?
No. Is it black and white TV?
No. If you know Uncle Floyd show, chat away. Come on, Uncle Floyd. No?
Was it cable access?
Where are my Jersey people?
Is cable access?
I'm telling you, you don't know?
I remember Uncle Jerry's Club.
Oh man, we gotta look that up.
And Soupy Sales.
Soupy Sales.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good. Yeah. There's this kind of a soupy thing happening here.
Yeah.
We'll talk later.
All right, Soup.
Okay. All right.
I mean,
anyway. All right. So we have some copy here. It's on this very computer. So can you read it from here, guys? No. Okay. Yeah.
Let me get my glasses.
Yeah. We have Jim and Rebecca over there, and here's the specs on the spot. 30-second spot promoting financial services to car owners. Talk about specific. Who would like to refinance their loans. Voiceover will be hard sell and very energetic. They sort of go together, don't they? Please provide sample with your best take on description above.
Wow.
So, we have this copy. How do you break something like this down?
Who's on next week?
We get to that a little later.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
So here's what I think you would need to do. We don't necessarily have to do it right now, but I'll just kind of go through how I might coach something like this.
Okay.
I think the most important thing that any voiceover performer needs is a process. Just like any performing artist, you have to have a process. So if you are a dancer, someone doesn't just say, we're going to do a dance, it's about spring, go and figure it out. No, you don't just go. You don't just have at it. You don't just buy a tutu and just go. There's a process. Same thing with actor. You want to be in a play, you get the script, and now what? You must have some process to get from script to performance.
Got to learn your lines.
Well, that's
use
one
the
of the
rehearsal
things.
app.
And use the rehearsal app. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. So you need a process. So I have put together a process, but I just want to be very clear. It is not the Wasserman method. It is not, it's none of that. It's not the bookable process. It's just kind of a structure. Questions to ask yourself when you get a piece of copy. The whole point of having this is so that you can be as specific and as rich as you possibly can in your read, and to be as, if you were to do it, as Dan forward, as prominent as Dan, because your voice is not just the tone, the sounds that come out of your mouth. It is your sense of humor and your opinions and your regionalisms and all the eccentricities your voice might have. That's what makes your voice special. So I get a lot of people, you might get this too, that say, well, I would book a lot of work if I sounded like you. And I say, no, you wouldn't. No, I'm booking that work. You need to sound just like you and own the way you sound, because I will never book that work.
What makes you you?
What makes you you, exactly. So you have to, and that's something you have to learn, and that takes a little time to learn. So you shouldn't just, a lot of people are like, I want to do voiceover, make a demo. No. Take your time. This is the last thing. It's like if you want to be an actor. I'm going to get my headshot tomorrow. Okay, slow down. You don't need that right now. It's the last thing you need to do. It's the very last thing you need to do. So you need a process. My process that I've put together, but it's not mine, it's just some thoughts, has about 12 steps. I used to have 5, but I keep adding it, based on the people I coach. Like I said, I keep learning while I'm working with people. So the first thing I have in this process is to warm up, or not, depending on what they want for you in the script. So if you've got a lot of legal copy and you've got to speak really fast, you got to chew a lot of copy, or there's a lot of what seems like run-on sentence and you need a huge capacity of air, or there's a lot of foreign words and you need to be able to kind of chew through them, and so then I might do some warming up. Or if I want a very round tone, something very smooth and no texture, I might warm up. But if I'm doing something like The Walking Dead, where I want to sound like The Walking Dead, I don't warm up. It would be a mistake to sound warm. I want to sound textured and
like do it first thing in the morning.
Like do it first thing in the morning, exactly, if that's possible. Like
right.
I always tell this story where I was on that TV show 24 with Kiefer Sutherland. And he does a lot of voiceover too.
Yeah.
So we were having lunch one day, and he told me about, when 24 was on, he was doing the promos for 24, and the commercial breaks, it was his dad doing commercials for orange juice.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole family was in on it. He told me how he used to warm up for his voiceover, which is great. He used to sit in his car, roll up the windows, and smoke a cigarette, smoke an entire cigarette while the windows are rolled up, put it out, and when he finished, he would scream at the top of his lungs. Just as loud as he could.
Highly recommended.
Right.
Yeah.
And then when he came out, his voice was all textured, like they sound like Gary Busey, like the whole thing. And that's how he got his voice textured. I don't know if I'd recommend that, but just like I say, it depends on what kind of, what the desired story you want to tell, whether or not you want to warm up. So that's just the first thing. And the next thing, I'm just going to give you a few steps. I can't go through the whole thing because I want your money. But the second step is to read it. I know it sounds ridiculous, of how obvious, read it. But I know tons of people who don't read it.
They're all cold readers.
They're cold read it. Yeah. So they take the script, and the very first time that they're going to say it out loud is the first time they've read it, and it's when they're performing it. I think it's a mistake. I think I know the reason why they do it, because it gives them a certain amount of what they'll call spontaneity. I'm just kind of go with my gut, which is great, but your gut's not always right, and your gut's not always specific. So it's a good thing to read through it. And my tip, Rick's tips, my tip is to read it out loud. Read everything on the page out loud. Everything. Cottonelle, 30, TV, announcer says, we open on it, read everything. That does a few things. It's the first opportunity, since you're going to perform this thing out loud, it allows you the first opportunity to get the words from the page in your brain and out your mouth. It's going to come out anyway, but it also gives you the opportunity to catch things like maybe there's words that trip you up. You're not sure how to pronounce this word. Maybe there's a huge run-on sentence and you didn't know that you would have to, find catch breaths.
Right. Or lots of typos, as we see.
Or there are typos. And you read the specs out loud too. You read everything out loud. And reading it out loud also allows you to start answering the next question. Question 3 is, what area of voiceover does this belong? Is it animation, video game, promo? What is this? And again, what we're trying to do is when someone hands you a piece of copy or a script, it could be anything. It's this whole universe of voiceover it can be. And all we're trying to do is narrow it down. You don't want to walk in the booth and it can sound like anything. You want to know exactly what it's supposed to sound like. So we start narrowing it down, kind of getting specific with this focus. So it could be anything. But now you know that it's a television commercial and it's a 30. So now we've narrowed our focus just a little bit. Okay? And the next question we would ask ourselves after the area is, what's the product? What's the product? But it's not just enough to say McDonald's. That might be the product. But more specifically, and specificity will set you free, specifically, it's the new organic Big Mac, whatever. Is there one? Maybe there should be. I thought of it. You heard it here first, organic Big Mac. But let's say that's the product. And then how is that burger different from some other burger? What's the feel? What's the brand like? How's that different than Shake Shack or Five Napkins or any other? Now I'm getting hungry, right?
Yeah.
Feeling it now? So you have an idea about the brand. The next question you ask yourself is, why does this commercial exist? If you ask yourself, have I ever heard of Big Macs before? And the answer is yes, then why do we need a commercial? Why are they spending all this money on a commercial? Oh, because this Big Mac is organic. That's why. That's why. It's not a sale. It's not a holiday. It's not a rebrand. There's a new product. So you know that. So anyway, after you answer all these questions, now you narrow this thing down like this. You know exactly how to perform it. This not only makes the time in your booth easier and faster, but it gives you confidence. You feel supported by this knowledge. The process will set you free. Put it on a t-shirt.
Wow.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
All right, so let's go through this copy here.
Oh Lord!
Yeah,
I mean, yes.
This is not the greatest copy around, but then again, yeah, but most copy really isn't the greatest copy around.
Quite all right.
The good stuff, national stuff, poetry. It's beautifully written. Not this one.
Well, it's our job to make this all sound brilliant,
right?
And that's it's not just about saying it. It's about we're selling. We're really on the advertising side of things here when we talk about commercials.
Right.
Really ad people. I don't know how everybody feels about this, although I'm curious. I always feel, well, especially with promo, that sometimes more than an actor and more than a storyteller, what I am is a model. I'm just not modeling with my hands and my incredible bikini body, but I am modeling with my voice. I'm putting a voice print on this product. Sometimes it feels like modeling. So as a model, it's my job to make something sound as beautiful or as lovely or as scary or as impressive as possible. So there's no bad copy. No bad copy.
No bad copy.
This is brilliant.
This is brilliant copy.
Lay it on me.
All right, so I'll just read through it.
Okay, so this would be step 2.
Step 2.
Let's say he's warmed up, if he needed to, and now step 2, he's going to read the whole thing out loud. He's already read the specs out loud, and now you'll read the script out loud.
Okay. Vehicle owners! ! Get cash now. Direct Financial was just authorized to refinance $200 million in vehicle loans. Rates from 1.39%. Lower your monthly payments by $100. Call now for your free, quick and easy quote. Plus, the next 200 callers get 2 months payment free.
Okay, so let's say that's the whole thing.
Right.
Okay, so now we've got that. What area of voiceover is this? What area? Is this animation, video game, live announce? What is this?
This is a live announce over probably pictures of cars.
So I'm guessing it's a commercial then?
Yes, it is. It says it's a TV commercial.
Okay, so it's a TV
It's a national TV spot.
Okay, a national TV commercial. That helps. With a television commercial, it's not just you. It's you and a picture.
Right.
So it's a bit of a duet.
Right.
You've got, you're accompanying each other. Different than radio, when you're a soloist and it's just you. Right. You might need to paint the picture a bit more vividly with a radio spot. But here, there's pictures along with you. So it's a good idea that while you're doing this spot, you can try to imagine, again, just learning to play, imagine what people might be seeing while this happens.
Probably dollar signs.
Probably dollar signs. A lot of green.
Right.
A lot of green. Great. So we know that. We know the area. What's the product?
It is loans.
It is. It's specifically, it's Direct Financial Loans. It's this company, Direct Financial.
Right.
Has anybody ever heard of Direct Financial? Just say yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Everybody's heard of Direct Financial. So if we've heard of Direct Financial, then why do we need to do this spot? Why do we need a commercial if we already have heard of it? If we all know about it, why do we need it?
Because they just were authorized to refinance $200 million.
That's what it is. And that's important. And that's something I might underline or circle, because that's the whole point of this spot. If people walk away with anything, they've got to walk away with that information. So that's really important. That's something good to know. Okay, so we know that. What's next? After we know the area, we know why the whole thing exists.
Right.
We can start to break down the copy. Now, even before we do that, we should. Well, I guess we should break it down. Every story has, if we treat commercials like little stories, every story has a beginning, middle, and end. We have to figure out where the beginning, middle, and end is. And if you get to say the beginning, middle, and end, sometimes someone else in a commercial will say the beginning, like, I just can't find a good cup of coffee. And then you come in. So someone else does the beginning, and you start with the middle and the end. Mm-hmm. So this here feels like the beginning and at least the middle, because that tag at the end is likely going to be the end of the spot.
Right.
So for
Call
me,
now.
Yeah, exactly. Call now. So when I'm in the booth, I don't want to think about anything except, well, just a few things. When I score my script, when I write on it, I just want to put as few things as possible, because I treat this like sheet music, that when I go in the booth, all I want to see there are the words and a few bits and pieces of information. If I need to write down a lot of notes, I'll write them on the back. I think it's good to keep writing. I'm all for digital copy. That's great. But sometimes you got to write things down. It's important. So I'll draw a line under what I believe is the beginning. Then I'll draw another line under what I believe is the middle. So when I'm in that booth, I don't have to ask myself, where's the beginning, where's the middle? It's very clear right in front of me. Same thing with words that are repeated or words I need to billboard and that are real important. I'll underline them or circle them. Not all of them, but the real important ones. Again, so when I'm in the booth, I don't have to think, which is the most important? I know I thought about this before. There's an important word in here. It's underlined. I don't have to think about it.
Do you still use paper copy?
I do.
Okay.
I mean, I don't always, depending on what I have to do. Promos, I generally don't, because there's a high volume of them, and I essentially say the same thing over and over. But definitely for almost everything else, especially narration, I find it really important, because again, or if you're doing, audiobooks, writing things down, making notes for yourself just seems vital. You get lost in there. You could kind of glaze over. So you need just a few notes. The most important thing that I do with the copy is part of the process, somewhere 7 or 8 down the list, is I consider 2 perspectives. And I think this is really, really important. I consider a technical perspective and a storytelling perspective. The technical perspective is as though I'm an advertising executive. And I ask myself, well, McDonald's has come to me. They want me to write a commercial about a new organic Big Mac. Who do I want performing the voiceover in this commercial? And I'll ask myself, again, technically, do I want it to sound like an announcer? Do I want it to sound like everyman, guy off the street, a patron, perhaps, of McDonald's? Do I want it to sound like the CEO or someone that works at McDonald's? And I make that decision. And the next thing I want to know is, who am I talking to? As an advertising exec, that means demographic. Who's my demographic? And I'll get very specific about that. Men and women ages 20 to whatever it is. And then we just went out.
I know.
Yeah. And then the other thing is, once this demographic hears this voiceover, what do I want them to do? My motivation. What's my objective? What do I want them to do?
What's my motivation here?
Generally, I want them to buy the product. Generally, almost every time. 90% of the time, it's to buy the product. And then lastly, I'm going to ask myself, what action? This is the biggest thing. It's the biggest thing. I think you can't perform voiceover to its potential if you don't have an action. If you just walk in the booth and talk, I don't know if I call that voiceover. It's something. That's like getting on stage, putting on makeup and a costume, and talking. I have a dear friend of mine who used to call that kind of thing when you're on stage and you're talking and you're making faces and you're feeling stuff, but you don't know what you're saying. It's just words, and you're just wearing a costume or you're just singing notes. He calls it being swept into the great cosmic wallow. And I've been there, and most of us have been there. We're just talking. I'm talking a lot. I don't know what I'm saying.
I've had dreams like that.
Yeah. Right? I had a year in college where it felt pretty much like that. Great cosmic wall. So to avoid that, we have these different perspectives. So there's this technical perspective, and then the other one is the storytelling perspective, which asks the same things as this one, but instead of being an advertising executive, now I consider myself an actor or a storyteller. So now I'm going to be in this spot that this advertising exec created, and the first thing I'll ask is, who am I in this spot? And the first answer, another tip, the first answer will always be you, whoever you are. So if you were to do it, it's always Dan. Dan's the first answer, always. I am Dan. That's the most important part. You're nobody else except Dan first. If you were to play Hamlet or the Music Man, you would be, who were you in the Music Man?
Mayor Chin.
Mayor Chin.
Yeah.
Mayor Chin. Yeah. So you were Dan/Mayor Chin. I mean, there's, otherwise, if you were just Mayor Chin, then everyone who's ever played Mayor Shin would be exactly the same. But they're not. You bring all of your life experience and opinions and all that stuff. Your opinion and sense of humor and ability and range create this kind of filter. And then you kind of pour the play through the filter, and what's left is entirely unique to you. And the same thing with voiceover. So who are you in this? Who are you in this spot? You're Dan. You're Dan. But what part of Dan are we accessing? What part of Dan? Dan who knows something about money. So it's financial Dan. That's who you are here. I mean, you're many things to many people. You are somebody's father. You're somebody's husband. You are somebody's employee. But right now, you're none of those things. Right now, in this spot, you are Dan the financial guy.
Right.
That's first. The next thing we want to consider is, who are you talking to? Specifically in this spot. We start like this. Who you're talking to must belong in the demographic we were talking about before. They must belong in that pool of people. And then
starts off right there. Vehicle owners.
Vehicle owners. Well, there you go. That's right. So you find, and then you ask yourself this question, well, how many people am I talking to? By the way, I always feel, I don't know how everybody feels about this, about 85% of the time I'm talking to one person. Almost feels, when they want an intimate conversational read, I'm almost always talking to one person. When people say, I don't know, I think I'm probably talking to 6. No, 7 people. I can't hear the difference between someone talking to 6 or 7 people. So I always think about either one person or a small group of people or a large group of people, like an office block, or a stadium or a planet. And when it gets that big, I don't actually get louder, I get quieter. Like it's epic, like it gets big this summer. Big, massive. You don't have to be loud. So that's the first and second part of the storytelling perspective. And now, what do I want from that person? And now, ultimately, you might want them to get this loan. But what do I want from this person? What could they do that lets me know that this has landed on them? Maybe they give me a high five. Maybe they thank me. Maybe they buy me a beer. But I give myself a goal. I need something. Now, as an actor, I always make it something physical. For example, if I wanted to make that woman fall in love with me, get her to fall in love with me, well, how do I know if I've met my objective? How will anyone know if I've met my objective? You won't know unless she does something physical. So in my brain, it makes sense to make it a physical thing, right? Saying thank you, give me a high five, give me a big hug, shaking my hand, something. And now the last and most important thing is the action. What do I need to do to get that person to high five me? What do I do here? And the best actions are feeling actions. They're loaded with feeling, not to inform or to tell. There's not a lot going on there. You want something like to inspire or to enlighten or to rally, to demand, to tease, to tickle, to seduce, any of these, to beg. They're big feeling verbs, big actions.
Right.
So at the top of my script, I write, I am going to enlighten Frank so he high fives me. That's it. And when I get in the booth, that's all I do. That's all I do. You have to forget everything else, right? So you do all this work, and then you get in the booth so you can just play. I'm exhausted.
It's a lot of freaking work, man. Yeah, you were saying that you're not swinging picks here.
The reason, it sounds like a lot, But it's the kind of thing where it's a muscle. And after you do it 10, 15 times, you start answering this question really, really fast. And once you do 10 commercials, you realize that they share a lot of these answers in common.
Right.
But you have to go through the work. I think you have to learn it this way. You have to learn a process, and that process will lend you ease. If somebody hands you any kind of script, now it's not just such a foreign thing. You know just what to do with it. I can break it down right now and very quickly. And sometimes you only have 5-10 minutes to do it, and you certainly can. Go process. Go process.
That's a great process, and eventually it just happens very quickly.
It
and
does.
automatically
It does.
in the brain. So.
Absolutely, it does. I know it feels a bit daunting at first, but hey, voiceover can be a lucrative field. You want to make some money at it? Put in a little bit of work. Learn a little process. Have it in your pocket and be ready to go.
Can't argue with that.
Right.
Anyone want to try this copy? Rebecca, you want to try it?
Goodness.
Yeah.
You can either perform this copy or have your gums scraped.
Yes.
So, gum scrape sounds good. Yeah.
All right.
I'm very skin. Look at all the skin today. Okay. All right.
It's hot today.
It is. It's toasty.
It's 100 degrees in here.
I'm not trying to.
Rebecca's not complaining over there.
Yeah. Okay. But the photobomb queen will now get the chance to do this. So we'll give you the copy here.
Just let Ninja do it. All right. Where's the copy?
It's right there. Quick process.
So,
Oh gosh, now I have to think.
no, you don't have to do the whole process. We'll just start from here.
Yeah.
As though, let's say you're talking to a small group of people. And put the small group of people, I always say put the small group of people just behind the microphone. So you are actually talking to a small group of people. You're not pretending you are. You go crazy in the booth a little bit. Nobody can see you and no one's checking your work. So you actually get in the booth and look past the mic as though you are talking to a number of people. What do you want from these people? If they listen to this and they agree with it and they think it's a great idea, what will they do to show you they get it?
They will buy the car.
They
So
will,
I
but not
need
right
to
now.
read this first.
They won't right now. What can they do right now to let you know that they understand?
Call now. They want call now.
Careful with that. That's
Call
my
now, though,
not my
because
cheap
quick
mic.
and easy quote, plus the next 200 callers get 2 months payment free. So I want them to take out a loan.
You
I
do,
want them
but
to call now
but
for
again,
it.
what good does that do you if they take out a loan? These are your friends. These are just people you know. These are just folks you know. You want them to do well. You want to see them happy.
I want
Absolutely.
them to be happy.
So how will you know if they're happy? What will they do to you if you know they're happy?
They'll take me for a spin in their new car.
Done. That's what they'll do.
I want the beer.
Yeah, or they'll give you a beer. They'll give him a beer and take you for a ride in a car.
And I want the high five.
And you'll get the high
Yeah,
five.
okay.
And then the question is, what action will you use? How about to excite?
Sure.
Okay? How about to
Okay.
excite?
Do you
So
want me to actually? Am I trying to? Oh,
You
sorry.
it'll
Ignore
pick you
the
up from
mic.
there. Don't worry about it.
So the idea is, it is a commercial, and this is specific to commercials, I think. It is a commercial. Let's not treat it like a commercial. The problem is when we treat it like a commercial, in our brains, we'll try to make it sound like a commercial. And that's when we move far, far away from, that conversational, naturalistic sound that everyone's so hungry for. This has just got to sound like Rebecca trying to excite a bunch of her friends about this new loan. That's all it is. And it's legitimate. Oh, you guys have poor loans or have had bad issues with loans. This is a great one. You should definitely try this. So excite them with this message about a loan. But it's Rebecca, financial Rebecca, talking to her friends. And if they're happy, they're going to take you for a ride in the car.
That'd be nice.
Have a shot.
Okay. I can read. Vehicle owners, get cash now. Direct Financial was just authorized to refinance $200 million in vehicle loans. Rates from 1.39%. Lower your monthly payments by $100. Call now for your free, quick, and easy quote. Plus, the next 200 callers get 2 months payment free.
That's it. Right. Thank you.
Yay!
No, am I going to be the only one clapping?
Is my life going to change?
I was me.
Oh, sorry. Rebecca was the only one clapping before, so she can't clap for herself. So I'll tell you what's really great about this read is that it sounds like you. A lot of people, they do all this work outside of the booth, and they sound like themselves. And then they get in the booth, and all of a sudden they become Don Pardo.
Right.
Like, yeah, I got it. Slate your name. Rick Wasserman. Tonight. And all of a sudden they've got some big voice that's not authentic. But this voice sounds like you. I also like that you use your hands. No one can see your hands in the booth, and you should do whatever you want with your hands. You do whatever you want with your face. By the way, you know how they say, when you smile, we can hear it in your read, right? That's kind of an old thing. But the truth is, for everything you do, if you grimace, we can hear that in your read. Yeah. If you snarl, if you grit your teeth, if you clench your fists, we can hear it in your read. All of that works. All that works. So you should feel free to move as much as possible without making any sound, naturally, in the booth. So the test is, When you're done with this read, you get out of the booth and you play it back. And when you listen to it, you ask yourself, does that sound like me talking to a group of people? Or does it sound like me doing a commercial? If it sounds like you doing a commercial, get back in the booth. Unless they want an announcer. If they want an announcer sound, put on your announcer sound and give them what they want. But most people don't want that anymore. Time and time again, we read copy that says no announcers.
Right.
They hate us.
Right. Guy you could have a beer with next door.
Right. It's that guy.
That's the prime spec.
That's your guy. That's your guy. Thank you for doing that.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Can I have my computer back?
No, you can't.
And you get a free computer.
Yay!
And you get a high five.
Yes!
I want to read for a beer.
Somebody get this man a beer.
This man needs a beer. We'll get a couple questions. Can I read them off real quick so we can let Rick go before he turns into a pumpkin? Awesome. Right. Cool. That was really cool, by the way. Nice
Thanks.
demo. Thank you, man.
Fun, thanks.
Far more thorough than I think you ever imagined you were going to get tonight. It was really
If
excellent.
nothing, I am thorough.
Shelley Avellino, who's running the chat room, says, what's the big difference between a manager and an agent? I think we touched on it, but how did your manager and agent work together? Or?
They do work together. They do communicate. My agents still, seek out opportunities for me, send me auditions. My manager does the same and specializes, like I said, in just promos and trailers.
Yeah.
So I get most of that stuff from my manager, but they also take care of most of the day-to-day stuff. My agents still schedule stuff. And I don't know, probably a lot of voiceover people have this, but I have an online calendar, the Google Calendar, that all of my agents have access. My manager and all my agents, they all have access to it. So they constantly update and they can see bookouts and they can, kind of coordinate all that, which is great. So the combination for me, since I do a lot of promo, I kind of specialize in that area. It really works. I have promo agents and I have a promo manager, and together they take a huge commission. No, I mean together they
work hard for you.
They do. They really do, and they make sure that all my bases are covered. The weird thing is, if I do like animation, I did 2 cartoons last week. It was great fun because I get out of the booth, and I get to go in another booth, but it's terrific. I had to sign contracts. I never do that anymore because my agents and managers take care of all that. But I mean, I had no idea how to use my hand. I didn't know how to sign my name. What is this? Social Security number? I made one up. No, I didn't. But they're great. They're very, very helpful. I can't recommend it enough.
Cool, man.
All right.
You want to get the one from Joe?
Yeah. It says, this is an interesting thing here. When you have a monitor in the booth, how is it connected to the outside computer? And what are you looking at in the booth, and what is operating what you see? Gee, don't we sort of all do this by ourselves now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your answer, Joe?
Well, Joe, I mean, I happen to know Joe because he's a client, but he's a working actor for many, many years, so he's new to the voiceover way of working. I don't know if he's asking about a home booth or when you're at a commercial studio. Yeah. I'm not sure in this context. You're not in a commercial studio much anymore, right? So when you're at home, it's all you, obviously. Yeah. You're controlling everything.
When it comes to these technical things, I defer to George. I still do. Anyone who asks me a question, any client I have, I'll say, it's a really, really great question, a really important one. You got to talk to George. I can't help you.
Well, I could say in a nutshell that what he's looking at in the booth is a mirror of what he's looking at outside the booth, which is basically his whole computer screen. And he's just putting his script up there so he can read it. And sometimes, you almost always have the meter from Twisted Wave running?
I do. Oh, see, I thought they were talking about an audio monitor. You actually mean my video display. Yeah, so it just mirrors what I have at my desk outside my booth.
Yeah.
So, again, if I need to open up an email that has a script in it, I can see it. But the other good thing about it is sometimes they'll send me reference. So I can look at pictures, I can watch video on it, I can listen to, I do, because of promos, we'll have done a promo for a show, say The Walking Dead, and they want to change the dates. So they don't want to re-record the entire thing, just some of the dates. So I can listen to myself. They'll send me the finished commercial, and I'll listen to myself and stop it and then start recording the new dates. So it's really very helpful to have that monitor in there.
Yeah.
And we've had that for what? a while
time.
now.
Yeah.
5,
Time.
6, 7 years.
Yeah,
I don't know.
it's
been
really
a while, but
efficient way to work.
and I'm not printing so much, so I'm saving trees. I got to feel good
Printing
about
more,
that.
yeah. Printing less is good.
Yeah. Steve Tardeo.
Steve.
Yeah.
Steve and I used to work together at Food Network. What's up, man?
Oh, cool.
All right.
Great guy.
He says he'd love to hear your opinions on pay-to-play sites, if you have any.
Well, I don't do any of them. I don't do any of them.
Don't really seem to need to, do you?
I don't. But I mean, again, I don't know if I don't have an issue. Listen, if you want to do voiceover and you're not in the union, you don't have representation, and you want to get work, and you don't mind paying for auditions, I mean, who am I to judge? You do whatever you need to do. I think it's fine. And if anything, it's good practice. You get to read new copy. I don't see anything wrong with that. I hear in the news that they're, I don't know how the money works and how much you pay and how much you actually get and what the chances of you actually booking are. I don't know about that. I really don't know enough about that. I do feel fairly confident that if you want to make a career out of voiceover, not that you're going to dabble in it or like to do, a booking once or twice a year, you want to make a career out of it, I think you need to be in the union. I think you have to have good representation. I think you have to have those things. And to start off, you have to have a good demo reel, which means you have to go to bookable coaching and demos right away. No, I think those things they're really important. They are your tools. You got to have them.
Absolutely.
Devox has one. He says, "What are the original directions, or were there direction on your first Mad Men promos? You said that you got some leeway, but were you heavily directed?"
They again, there was no show to watch at the time.
Yeah.
But I was told, think fine wool suits and scotch and cigarettes. So I'll just tell you, like when I do Walking Dead spots, I crunch my fists up and I hunch my shoulders over and I pretend like I'm in an underground bunker during the zombie apocalypse and I'm talking to zombie survivors. And my action is not to tell people to watch, Walking Dead, but my action is to warn. I'm warning, right? Tonight on The Walking Dead. So I'm actually, and this makes me feel tense. So for Mad Men, I actually lean on the wall of my booth. And I pretend like I'm stirring a drink with my finger.
And a cigarette.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then I pretend the microphone is a woman's ear. And I lean forward and I go, tonight on Mad Men. Right? That's really what it is. And they were cool with it. They liked it and kind of kept that sound.
It worked.
Last question.
Good.
Really?
Want to get that one from Ryan?
Sure. You were just talking about this. Do you ever get storyboards or visuals with the script on big jobs? Yeah. There are times after I see the final product, I think to myself, it probably would have helped if I actually would have seen. I ask myself that all the time.
Yeah.
Especially when you get something back and you're like, you could have given me the music.
Right.
That sort of thing.
Oh, yeah. Music really helps, doesn't it?
Yeah.
If you can read along with music, boy, that does so much. 1 out of every 20 scripts, there's a storyboard. It's very seldom that you get to see that kind of thing, and it would be really nice if you could. I think the best thing you can do is use your process, try to abide by the specs they have, and at the end of the day, remember it's just you. And if you have a compelling feeling that you should read it a certain way, but it's not written in the specs, that's a good reason to do a take 2. Give them your version. Who knows? You might give them what they don't know that they need, and they hear it and they go, absolutely. It's altogether your flavor, and we love it. That can happen. That does happen.
Yep. Rick, it has been a pleasure.
Oh,
It's
hey, thanks.
So much more fun meeting people in person and talking to
This
them
is
in
great,
person.
and welcome to California.
Oh, I'm having a great time.
Yeah.
Because I get to meet great people like you.
Oh,
and great
thanks.
stories like that.
But can
Anyway,
I just have to plug real quick?
go for it. You're on.
So, so Bookable, that's the name of my coaching and demo place. We've been underground for the past 5 years. We finally launched this year. Bookable. I will hold this up again.
There we go.
Bookablevo.com, right?
Yeah, at bookablevo.com.
Mm-hmm.
Check out the website. We actually have a commercial. My partner in this venture is a guy named Greg Chun, who's a fantastic, Greg. He's a fantastic voiceover performer himself, but he's a musician, and he's a composer and an arranger. In fact, he just did the opening song for the Emmys with Andy Samberg. He wrote that. Yeah. So he was on set and he did the whole thing. So he's just back from that and he's finishing up the music on our first Bookable VO commercial, which will be live very soon.
Can't wait to
You
see
know
it.
I've got 2 more questions if we can squeeze them in. I almost forgot these 2 questions that came in by email before the show.
Oh, okay.
And Vin was in the chat room. He was like, "Don't forget my question."
Oh, yeah,
Sorry,
sure.
Vinny.
No, Vin, come on.
Yeah. One of them is what relationship ended up being the most helpful for you in your first 5 to 10 years in VO? And that might be a hard one to answer. A lot of relationships.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I have to say the most help I had was my agents and manager. I mean, I didn't know anything. I really didn't know anything. Famously, the very first thing I booked after about 6 months of absolutely nothing was a promo, and it was for something called The Wire on HBO. So I was the voice of The Wire, and I didn't know what I was doing. And when I read on it the first time, they said, "We'd like to do some title reads. Give me an ABC." So I went, ABC. Is that not what you wanted? Oh, sorry. Like a total idiot. Didn't know what I was doing at all. So I would go back to my agents and I talked to Jason Marks and these wonderful people, and they would say, "Moron." No, they would say, "No, this is what they mean." So that was a very kind of just shot out of a cannon education. But man, I really relied on them for the first 5 years. Definitely.
He's got 3. Maybe we'll pick 2 out of 3.
Yeah,
the other one was...
I think number 4 there.
Vin, okay. I'm a Libra, and I like walks on the beach. But thank you for asking.
Well, the last one here.
The last one?
Wait,
that's the best one?
What did you find to be the number 1 way to get noticed by those that hire voiceover talent?
It's a great question. How do you get noticed? There are so many people out there right now, so many fish, small pond. The pond's not changing, just more fish in it. And how do you stand out? Well, there's really nothing you can do. I mean, I don't believe that you can buy a big funny hat or, be extremely aggressive or any of those gimmicky things. I think ultimately the best thing you can do is study, get a good sense of what your voice is, know what your brand is, and lean into it. It used to be that they wanted someone who could do 1,000,000 sounds, but now the best thing to do is have one sound that you do brilliantly well, and that one sound should be your authentic voice. That is, when you wake up in the morning and you open your mouth, well, after you clear your throat or take a cup of coffee, that sound that comes out, that should be the sound you want to book all of your work with, because you'll never forget it. It'll always be consistent, and it'll always have the most ease, and it's you. It sounds like you. So what can you do to stand out? Study. Know your voice. Be confident in your sound. Have a really strong process. That way, even if you're on these pay-to-play sites and you're auditioning against thousands of people, even if you get, who knows if you'll ever get heard, but if you do get heard, you'll know it's your best work out there, and good work, I believe, pays off. Study.
Excellent.
Thank you, man.
Study. All right. Well, thank you once again.
Okay, thanks again.
We got your questions in there, Vinny.
We got them all. Boy.
Absolutely. All right. Well, George is going to talk about a friend of his and some great stuff that they do, and we'll continue finishing things up in just a moment. George.
Thanks, everybody. Well, actually, I wanted to mention this great service provider, Source Elements, that many of you are aware of. I'm switching cameras here while I'm talking and trying to make it really smooth. Anyway, Source Elements, sourceelements.com. If you are working in voice acting and you want to connect to studios and you're not having success getting some of the other technologies out there, including, but not limited to, certainly ISDN and things like that, Source Connect is a tool that's a power user tool these days that is rapidly becoming one of the next standards of remote studio engineering. What do you do with this thing? It allows you to connect from one studio to another real time and hear the same quality of audio that you'd expect to hear behind the piece of glass in another room, things like that. So sourceelements.com, Source Connect is their flagship product. It's the one that put them on the map. It's the one they've been developing the longest, and it's probably it is. I would say the one that's going to be the taking over for ISDN when the phone companies finally decide to pull the plug, and they're making it more and more difficult for people to get. So, Any minute now. So you should at least have knowledge of how to use Source Connect, what it is and what it does, and you can find that out over at source-elements.com. You can get a 15-day trial, And they have a licensing system now where you can actually rent or you can do a subscription model for Source Connect, so you don't have to buy it outright. And so that works for some people as well. It's a little bit less, it's not as dear to get started with it, not quite as expensive. So Source Connect is a great tool. If you need to know more about it, go over to sourceelements.com. And they've been sponsoring VoiceOver Body Shop since episode 1. Thanks a lot, you guys. Really appreciate it.
All righty. Got the 2-shot. All right.
Yeah, baby.
We're back. Nice job.
Thanks.
You're welcome. All righty. Well, it's time to wrap things up in a nice tight little bow, and we got a number of things to tell people here. First off, our upcoming shows. Got a great lineup of stuff coming up here. We've got next week Brian T. Stevenson, animation, and a friend of Rob Paulson. This is claim to fame that he's a friend of Rob Paulson.
That's a very important thing. We can't leave that out.
All right, I'll have to ask him about that.
Yes.
October 5th, I believe we're going to do a roundtable, I think, on animation.
That's what I hear.
That's what I hear too. So it'll be fun. Now you're going to be in New York, so this is going to be a technical marvel.
Yes, I'm going to.
I'm going to have to touch all this stuff.
Well, you're going to be mixing audio while I switch cameras.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Just leave it open.
Yeah, baby.
It'll be fine. All right. So we're going to have we're not sure who our panelists will be, but we'll have more people in here, and that ought to be really interesting. October 12th, it's Columbus Day. So why not have Chuck and Stacy here?
Well, yeah.
It just goes together. We'll find out what's going on.
Chuck and Stacy and VO Buzz Weekly.
Yeah. And October 19th, Christina Milzia, president and voiceover coach for Global Voice Academy.
Mm-hmm.
And that ought to be fun. And then November 2nd,
she's going to be here in L.A. too.
Yeah.
Because she's not local. So
yeah.
It just happens she'll be in town.
She just happens to be in town.
Awesome.
October 26th, Dave Fenoy.
Sweet.
The Hulu guy. Yeah. And November 2nd, it's getting into November already.
Yeah, we got people bucked out that far.
Oh, yeah. Adam Harrington.
Cool.
So
yeah, he's a great animation.
A lot of people coming on the show. This is going to be fabulous. So anyway, who are our donors this week?
Well, I mean, we've got an incredible assortment of folks who are regular donors. They have subscriptions, which is really, really cool that people are willing to do this. We were joking earlier about Bill having to cancel his. Yes, if you have a subscription and you're paying regularly, you may cancel it. No, we're not going to come after you. No, it's okay. But we have...
Just renew it when you feel the need.
If you feel like you can do it, we can even put it on hold. We can suspend the subscription and pick it up when you want to. But anyway, Shelly Avellino, who not only supports the show with her time, she donates regularly. Thank you. Thomas Pinto, Eric Aragoni.
Eric Aragoni.
That name comes up once in a while. He knows how to get his name top of mind by donating every single episode of every show we've ever done. Source Elements, they're one of our sponsors, which came up in my donations queue. That's funny. It's like a really big donation.
Yeah.
FastEdits.com. Fast Edits. Marshall at Gaddis. I wonder who that is. And the list goes on. Fast Edits. What else? You got one more in there? I think that's it for the queue this week.
All right. So if you'd like to donate to the show and have fantastic programming like this right in your computer, where else are you going to hear Rick Wasserman? AMC. I mean, live and in person.
And hear his coaching for free. Thanks, Rick.
Yeah, we really appreciate it.
He didn't know we were going to make him do that either. That was totally off the cuff.
And we never tell people what we're going to have him do. Otherwise, they wouldn't show up.
Exactly. But if you want to donate, it's right below the show player.
Where it says, please donate.
Please
so
donate down
right
below.
There. Anyway, okay. Let's see here. It's a narrator helper.
Narratorhelper.com. If you're doing an audiobook and you need help with that audiobook, you're realizing you're getting in over your head because you're doing the whole thing yourself because it's for ACX or something like that, go to narratorhelper.com for a hand through the entire production. It's going to really, really make your life easier.
She's a big help. All righty. Show logs. Jack DeGolia sits out there in the Nevada desert, and he's taking every word down. Every word. He's going to have a heck of a time with this one we had to do with Rick. Because he had lots to say.
Huge.
Every last point was absolutely perfect. So check out the show logs. They're right up there. Are they? They're right. They're also on the website. You can click on them right now. So in case you missed something. And the podcast version is on Stitcher Radio, iTunes, and ewebs.podbean.com. We need to thank our sponsors again. Okay, we got a lot of them here. Harlan Hogan and VoiceOverEssentials.com.
Edge Studio.
VoiceOver Extra.
Source Elements.
And our new sponsor, Rehearsal app from David H. Lawrence the 17th. And
thank you, David.
And thank you guys for helping us provide uninterrupted streaming of this show. No commercials for other stuff, just our stuff. The stuff you want to hear and see.
Exactly.
All right. So we'll have to thank our wives, especially Marcy tonight, dealing with the plumber, who may still be in there, in which case I really ought to go in and check and see what he's doing.
Check on him.
Yeah.
If he's still there, I'd be worried.
Yeah. And Kathy Curden, our fantastic producer, who has got us booked until November.
Thank you, Catherine.
Yeah. And Anthony Gettig wasn't there tonight. So Shelley Avellino, who finally gave us her email address, and we were able to.
Shelley.
She did a great job in the chat room. And Jack DeGolia for all of the
show notes.
The show notes. And Lee Penny for being Lee Penny. All righty. And a thanks, of course, to our floor manager tonight, Rebecca Davis. You can be a floor manager here, by the way.
Yeah.
You know, if you'd like to volunteer to be a floor manager here and get to do silly stuff like read copy and have fun with our guests, write to us. Let us know you want to volunteer to be a floor manager if you're in the greater Los Angeles area. We're not paying for airfare. So
just email the guys at VOBS.tv. The guys at VOBS.
And let us know you'd like to be in here. And I think we're probably going to have a live audience night. We could probably get
at least once a month.
Yeah, 8, maybe 10 people in here.
Depends on how big or small.
Right. And this camera has to have a better tripod. But other than that,
yeah.
Alrighty. Anyway, that's going to do it for us tonight. Ooh, this was a late one.
Well, it was worth it.
It was, because Rick was fabulous. And thanks again to Rick Wasserman for some fabulous advice there. And I know where I'm taking my next classes at. So
it's pretty solid.
All righty. Anyway, that's going to do it for us tonight. I'm Dan Leonard.
And I'm George Whittam.
And this is Voiceover Body Shop, or VOBS. Absolutely. Have a great week, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Cheers.
Bye.
Goodbye, everybody. We love you.